Things just took a shocking turn for the Los Angeles Dodgers as an MLB insider revealed an absolute crazy trade update that could shape the offseason for the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to talk about it here today on the show. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews, and I appreciate you hanging out with me and tuning in to today's show. Lots and lots of crazy stuff to get to, so we're going to get to that in just a moment. Before that, though, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can see it right here. We're closing in on about 12,000 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy. We're about 400 away, so if you have not yet subscribed, today is the day, my friend. Daily Dodgers content on every single piece of information you need to know. Let's talk about Mr. Teoscar Hernandez, because we've talked so much about the Dodgers adding an outfielder that this report kind of came out of left field. Get it? But either way we slice it, Teo was never supposed to be discussed in trade reports. In fact, this report came out, again, out of nowhere. We really didn't expect much of this, and yet recently we got a report, or at least a statement, from Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic that he is hearing reports the Dodgers are getting trade offers / Teoscar Hernandez is being mentioned in the latest trade rumors. Now, there's obviously a lot to break down on this. One, does this mean the Dodgers are looking at more in the outfield market? Are the Dodgers the ones initiating this, or is it the other teams coming and asking about his availability? We're going to try and figure this all out from Ken Rosenthal today. So, first question to answer. Is this something that is, well, from the Dodgers or from the rest of the MLB? And we don't really get that from the official quote from Ken Rosenthal and Patrick Mooney on their podcast. He said that, quote, Hernandez's name is coming up in trade conversations, end quote. That doesn't necessarily tell us, okay, are the Dodgers putting his name out there, or is this something that is coming from an outside source? Are these teams going to the Dodgers and saying, hey, I hear you have Teoscar Hernandez and you don't exactly like him that much anymore, or his defense has declined. Maybe that could be something that we could help you out with. And so that's where we kind of like, okay, I think both could be true. We continue on with the quote here, Ken Rosenthal saying, quote, I don't necessarily expect it to happen, but his name has come up in trade conversations, and that to me was certainly interesting to hear, end quote. When you deep dive into the official conversations of this, it's seeming like the Dodgers do not think that this will be a thing they'll do. It's more or less they're listening to offers, and teams are giving them offers. Teams like the Boston Red Sox or across the landscape are looking at a guy who's saying, okay, you have Shohei Ohtani, and he's going to DH every single time. Teoscar, with his declining defense, you can't DH him, and I mean, what are they going to do for that? And so that's where we kind of go into our next report of who's been linked to maybe talking about Teoscar. That leads us to this report. The Dodgers and Teoscar Hernandez have been unexpectedly linked to the Red Sox by the MLB Insider. And you think, who's this other MLB Insider? Funny enough, it's Ken Rosenthal as well, because for as much as Ken said, I don't think this is going to happen, or this or that, he did continue on with the conversation and talked about one team that he would kind of expect to make this move. And he said, quote, one team that sticks out immediately, and it's a team that predominantly left-handed, and it's Boston has, of course, the desire to re-sign Alex Bregman, a great right-handed hitter. But if they don't, they're going to do some other things. And frankly, they're looking for two bats, end quote. And so knowing this report, I kind of went and looked at the Boston Red Sox and thought, okay, yeah, they're looking for a DH in some aspects and looking for two bats, but their outfield is pretty full. I mean, the likes of talked about the trade acquisitions of potentially getting Jarren Duran in LA. It's because they have a full outfield of guys like Roman Anthony and Ceddanne Rafael and Wilyer Abreu. So I don't really see how Teoscar helps in their light. Like, yeah, he's an extra guy that can play DH, but in the outfield position, it's an intriguing factor. And for the Dodgers' perspective, it's the reason I fully think they're getting these offers or these conversations is because they already have Shohei Ohtani in that DH position. It's locked up for 162 games. So Teoscar, you want a night off, you're sitting on the bench. You're not going to be able to play that DH position and take a quote-unquote night off from the field. That's exactly what the report from Newsweek is. Valentina Martinez saying, quote, the Dodgers already have a full-time designated hitter in Shohei Ohtani, which limits where LA can place Hernandez. the defensive struggles of Hernandez were evident throughout the 2025 season. We all know that Teoscar, if the Dodgers are able to get another outfielder, the expectation is for him to move to left field. However, in looking at this and saying, okay, let's go with this, that the Dodgers get an offer they can't refuse. That somebody, whether it's Boston or another team, comes out and says, listen, you can't really use Teoscar Hernandez in the DH position. That's probably where he's going to thrive for most of his career from here on out. What if we gave you a package you can't refuse? Then in that case, okay, for the Dodgers, you're already looking for some outfield depth. And if you don't get an outfield piece in return in that statement, I don't necessarily see how that can exactly help in a lot of ways. And I love Teoscar. I don't want him to go. But I do see this issue. He's not a good defensive outfielder anymore, and you can stick him in left field all you want and hide him there, but the Dodgers' outfield is going to be hard wherever you play him. And unless you get an extra outfielder, he's going to be tasked with playing in right field again and playing there for predominantly most of the 162 games. We kind of continue on here and kind of bring up this report. It's important to note that if the Dodgers do decide, or they do get an offer, that they trade away Teoscar Hernandez, most likely it would mean they would need to find 2 outfielders via free agency or the trade market. That, to me, is where this deal, as much as I would like to look at Ken Rosenthal and believe it and say that this is a possibility and look at it, I think where this probably takes the standstill. If you're the Los Angeles Dodgers and your main priorities this offseason were closer and outfielder, and you trade away a guy who can play outfield, whether it's good or bad, he can play the outfield, that kind of makes your, I guess, entire scheme a little bit different. Because now you're looking for potentially, if you don't get an outfielder back or a closer back, a closer, another outfielder, and still another outfielder because you just traded away Teoscar Hernandez. That's where the question mark comes in of, is this something to trust? And I do know that he can't play DH. I do know that this is something that is intriguing. But at the end of the day, I'm intrigued by it. However, I want to know your thoughts. There we go. How would you feel about the Dodgers trading Teoscar Hernandez? If you got any thoughts on this, if you think this is a silly idea and that Ken Rosenthal is out of his mind for even saying it, then let me know that. If you think that this is a good idea and maybe that they should actually explore it and that they could get a king's ransom for him potentially, then let me know in the comment section. How would you feel about the Dodgers trading away Teoscar Hernandez? To me, I think it's a catch-22 in my mind, because if you can get a good ransom for a good haul and you're in the mindset of maybe in talks while getting a trade done for an outfielder while also talking about a free agent outfielder, then maybe that can work, because I love Teoscar. I think he's a great bat, but ultimately he is a liability in the field. And getting to a point where he's off the team and you maybe can add 2 guys who you trust more in the field and have a similar bat, maybe not power-wise, but at least average-wise can bump that up. Maybe that's something you take, but I would just have a hard time finding a team that could give me a deal that would be worth it. I think that's the ultimate solution of this is I need a really good price to give up Teoscar Hernandez, because as much as you want to say about his fielding, as much as you want to say about his inadequacies in right field, he is a very good player for the Dodgers and has been a key piece in their back-to-back championships, and in my opinion, will be a key piece in this year as well. And so we'll see what Ken Rosenthal brings up next and if this trade or anything else amounts to this. But for now, that's all we got for you here today on Dodgers Digest. We do appreciate you hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time here on the show. Peace out, everybody.